Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm your host, Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, I'm glad to be back after a week's absence.
And we're glad to have you back. John, Orient Resources has dropped sharply since mid-February. What happened to the Risti gold play in Finland?
Orion has been working on this project since acquiring it in 2014. It's in the northern third of Finland in the so-called central Lapland greenstone belt. There's one major mine there that Agnico Eagle operates. It's about a 9 million ounce deposit. And the geological hypothesis is that although this is Proterozoic aged, meaning younger than the Archean aged Abitibi greenstone belt, this has the same potential to host high-grade gold mineralization, such as the Timmins district. The overall Abitibi has over 80 million ounces. And in 2016, Orion started getting traction when it found this big boulder field of quartz boulders with very high-grade gold, up to several ounces and even higher. And it became a game of where did this come from? And eventually, they traced it back to the Amarusco target area, and unfortunately, it slopes up this hill, so it's a very difficult area to drill. So they've been, spending several years working in that area. They've raised over $40 million for this. They've spent about $25 million on this project. But the nugget effect and the sort of inconvenient topography of the Amarusco target on the Risti project, that's kind of been a pain. It's really slowed outlining this zone. And so last year, they had another property, the Lani East, which tracks about 8 kilometers of this big Circa shear zone. And this is a big structure similar to the Porcupine Destor break. The structure itself isn't expected to host anything, but it's all the little splays and secondary faults that come off it, which host all the gold in the Timmins district. And so they undertook a drill program last November. They had outlined multiple showings on surface. They, trenched and shown that here's gold mineralization in bedrock. The veins seem to be, subvertical, unlike in the Amarusco area where they sort of have these flat-lying structures, so it's quite difficult to figure out where they're going. And they set up a program of 7 holes along a 400-meter segment at the northern end called the Christmas Deformation Zone. And they spaced these out nicely and drilled them to a sort of vertical depth of 270 meters. And on February 20th, they reported the drill results from this program. And the stock had been sort of stable in the $1.50 to $2 range, and it immediately collapsed into the $1.10 level because obviously not a major discovery here with high-grade intervals confirming, yes, indeed, this is the next Timmins district becoming reality. And then, of course, a week later, the whole COVID-19 sell-off in the market happened, and the stock has since plunged as low as 50 cents, though it's right now bouncing in the rebounded into the 70 to 80 cents range. And I've had this stock initially as a bottom fish, then as a fair spec value recommendation. But this week I looked at the pricing, I looked at the game plan going forward, and I said, wow, this is one of these stocks. I've made this one a favorite right now. It has 90 million or so fully diluted, so the market's pricing it at only 65 to 70 million dollars. They've definitely got evidence that this is a major gold system with high grade potential. And you might say, okay, they spent $25 million. Where's the resource estimate? Well, I would compare and say, look at Osisko Mining and its Windfall district. They started with about 3 million ounces that had been outlined over 25 years of on and off exploration work. They've put over $200 million into that system, and they've managed to up it to about 6 million plus ounces of good medium grade gold. And that's also been spun as a misunderstood Timmins District play. But I think the Orion's a large land package in the central Lapland Greenstone Belt. It's very substantial. This is clearly underexplored. It has the potential to host a world-class collections of tens of millions of ounces, and they just need to persist with the work that they are doing. Now, they still had $16 million left at the end of last year, and I talked to Dave Lotan the other day, and he says, well, with the current plan that we have, we would have $5 million left at the end of this year. And then this stock got financed $11 million last summer at $1.50. Eric Spock himself ponied up $5 million and no warrants. David Lotan is an anti-warrant type of guy. And in mid-February, they wrapped up a winter drill program on the Amarusco zone. No idea what that's going to look like. It was, again, difficult drilling. And they will resume drilling later this month in the Lonnie East, except this time they're not going to sit there and try and deliver a wonderful zone with these closely spaced drilling. They're now taking a smaller rig with a BQ-sized core, so not exactly ideal for high-grade gold type of system, but it's ideal for mapping out the structures of the systems. Where is this all? They're going to hit these multiple targets. They all have strange names like Father's Day and Mother's Day and Bonanza and so on, and just sort of show us what is going on here. Because the idea is they do not want to raise $200 million the way Osisko Mining has done. They would like to, demonstrate the scope of this, and they already have Kinross as a shareholder. They have B2 Gold as a partner. They have, I think, Gold Corp came in there, and that's now Newmont. They're in there as a shareholder. So the big guys have already, got a foothold in this project, and Orion needs to engineer a buyout before it has a resource estimate on the table, possibly similar to what Andre Gaumond engineered with Virginia Gold Mines and the Eleanor project. That, of course, turned out to be not such a great deal for Goldcorp when it paid, $750 million for it and sunk another $1.3 billion into it, and then it's still ended up, not being anywhere. It would never have been developed if they hadn't already sunk so much money into it. The thing that we as sort of speculators looking for discovery ask, okay, we've seen the flashy high grades. We know there's stuff on surface here. You spent $25 million. You're going to spend another $10 million this summer. This year you're also going to go back in onto the Amarusco on the Risti project, where you've already spent $20 million. What are we going to see that's different this year? We wait another season. Fortunately, Finland is a country that regards mining and exploration as essential. This project's in the northern third, so it's quite remote. And in Finland, unlike every other country in Europe, when the Soviet Union collapsed, it said, we're going to continue to be doomsday preppers. We're going to continue to stockpile all the necessities of life for, those bad rainy days. So they're, unlike all these other countries, scrambling for equipment, medical equipment, and other things. They've got this stuff all stashed away. So they are in great shape to stay open for business. And what I'm looking forward to is I was intrigued when Dave Lotan admitted that they've been a bit too timid in the way that they have explored this. They've done little small step-outs trying to trace the system very, very carefully. They've been hampered by the topography at the Amarusco zone. And in the Lonnie, they've also been too, focused. Okay, this is it. Let's do it. Now they're becoming much more aggressive, stepping out, testing all these targets, building the big picture geological case for why this deserves to have $200 million sunk into it by a major after taking out this junior. And they're also returning to the Amarusco, where about 4 kilometers to the east they have the notches showing, and the area in between is all covered with scree and talus. You can't see a thing. There's no pretty quartz boulders sitting there down confirming that there's something there. But they think the structure is connected. So they're going to go in there and start drilling aggressively in there. So I think this year we're going to see a much wider ranging drill program that could deliver multiple new focal points for the company and hopefully trigger a preemptive takeout by one of the big gold producers who specialize in these high-grade systems.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
Cypress Development Corp is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Nevada Exploration provided its monthly update last week for the South Grass Valley project in Nevada. Are we any closer to a big Carlin-type discovery?
Well, Jim, they've spent probably around $7 million on the South Grass Valley play in the last few years, and they've been doing these monthly updates. They put one out last week. They still have 3 or 4 holes pending for which results have not been reported. But this phase, this RC drilling phase that they have done this year has been pretty much a disappointment. In the waterfall area, target area where they were hoping to find gold mineralization in carbonates draped over this this Grass Valley intrusion. The Pathfinder chemistry has come back lower. So they say, okay, the system's fading out over there. In the Golden Gorge, which flanks the eastern part of this intrusion, and again, these Jurassic intrusions are very important structural features in these Carlin systems. There's the Mill Canyon stock in the Cortez area, and then there's I think it's called the Gold Strike stock in the North Carlin area. But the first batch of holes they drilled too close to the intrusion ended up in the intrusion. Of course, those were all duds. And then they stepped away, and these are the holes that are still pending. They stepped farther east, but they were only able to get down several hundred meters, and not like the 500-600 meters they were able to achieve with the core drilling. And so these holes haven't really hit the target depth. The RC rig just wasn't powerful enough to do this. So I'm not holding my breath that these last few holes in the Golden Gorge target are going to deliver anything. In that Freddy target to the north, they stepped to the northwest, and they reported earlier that, we've got the stuff here. We've extended the whole lower plate alteration window another kilometer to the northwest. But clearly this is not where things are happening. They've now penciled onto their maps a new target called East Golden Gorge, and this had been hinted at, late last year. And this is about a 6-kilometer striking target where the bedrock dips to the east. It starts getting very deep. The gravels get much deeper there, and it seems to be part of a 20-kilometer long high-angle crustal scale fault, the kind that could have brought up these Carlin-bearing fluids from the beneath the crust when they were unleashed about 35 million years ago. And they're thinking, what we now need to do is we need to go back to our core rig, and we need to step into the abyss, and we need to drill some Hail Mary holes into what looks like is the feeder for everything that's been flowing through these lower plate rocks to the west that has been our South Grass Valley target. But of course, they're probably their treasury is probably low. There's also the August 31st BLM payments, which are going to be very brutal for many of these junior companies, because although there isn't mining is still essential in Nevada, but the logistics of moving everything around, the local towns and that, all of that is subject to shelter-in-place rulings. So getting anything done right now is a logistically problematic. So I suspect that they've got one hole that was still underway, hole 17, stepping closer to the abyss. But with that RC rig, I doubt that thing will get to a depth sufficiently interesting to deliver anything. So after $7 million, we still have a big, giant, geochemically interesting lower plate window that was not recognized before, but it is clearly becoming a big company type story. Now, admittedly, we haven't had like 109 holes, such as what Murray Peasant had to drill to deliver the SK Creek discovery, or the 70, 80 holes they blasted into Hemlo before they finally got into the high grade area, which turned out to be not where most of their exploration had been focused. But these are expensive holes. We're in a very difficult climate for raising money, lots of uncertainty, questions about, well, even if you have the money, will you be able to get anything done? One benefit for them is that this project is outside the area of interest box that Barrick and Newmont drew on the map of Nevada when they pooled their operations together to form the Nevada Gold Mines joint venture, which is 62.5% Barrick, 37.5% Newmont. So either one of those parties can independently negotiate with this junior. With the amount of information that they've generated with $7 million, this is now something that the big guys can sink their teeth into. It could be that the next $2 million tags into the area where the gold got hung up, and you have a new discovery. And this junior is now basically at the limit. It can't keep raising money to drill these geological holes. So I think the next stage for them is maybe they have enough money to drill one last Hail Mary hole into the East Golden Gorge, but quite likely they're going to have to get serious about attracting a farm-in project, and then maybe when they get a market boost out of that, they can go return to projects like Kelly Creek Basin, which is east of SSR's Marigold project, and it's also within the checkerboard, the Newmont checkerboard, which is now part of the JV, and it's now Barrick taking a look at it, so the myopia of Newmont is no longer the relevant factor in getting anything done there. So maybe we'll see something else going on there. But the goal now is to secure, I think, well, at least I hope the goal is to secure a farm out so that some deep-pocketed major can go here and show that this is indeed another North Carlin scale district.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after this.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlin, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with John Kaiser. John, Neo Bay Metals reported partial results for its James Bay drill program, and the market just shrugged. Did you see anything interesting in the results?
Jim, I saw quite interesting things in these results. So they drilled 7 holes, and they reported the first 3, which were done on one line of this carbonatite system. The first hole, these are the first holes drilled since 1967 when this carbonatite was first delineated. The first one twinned an old hole, sort of cutting through the deposit to a vertical extent of about maybe 125, 130 meters, and it delivered somewhat better grades than the old hole, and the grades are approach 1% niobium pentoxide, which is the molecule that they measure the grade of these deposits in, and that's better than the 0.54%, 0.53% for the overall 50 million ton deposit for which they did a resource estimate earlier. But the second hole was at a steeper angle from the same location, so it pushed the vertical depth down to about 200 meters, and it also got similar high grade values. And then the third hole, they stepped farther back and managed to push the vertical depth down to 250, 270 meters vertically, and they still got grades better than that 0.5% niobium pentoxide. So this is supporting their idea that as an underground play, this deposit is definitely worth considering as a candidate. The resource grade is similar to what's now being mined at the Niobec mine in Quebec, which is now owned by Magris, and that mine has about 20 years of mine life left at the current production rate. CBMM, which owns the Monster Araxá deposit in Brazil, they now supply like 85% of the global market. They were on the ball earlier this year and ramped up production so that even if there is a local disruption in Minas Gerais of Brazil due to the COVID-19 crisis, they've got enough material now stockpiled to feed the global world's needs for several months. But this pandemic crisis is really highlighting the world's vulnerability to monster deposits such as this, where one geographical location supplies the world with over 85% of its needs. And niobium demand is apparently growing at about a 6% rate per year. And of course, Araxá is so big that you can just expand production, add more processing capacity, and they can meet whatever the world's demand is. But the security of supply, it's now making a huge comeback. And last week we didn't do I wasn't able to do a Discovery Watch episode because I immersed myself in a project I started a decade ago when the rare earth bubble got going, and that was I've been digitizing all of the U.S. Geological Survey's annual supply statistics going back to 1930. I cleaned it up into a new data framework and created new graphics. You can find the link on my homepage. It's the one called Metals, and its basic theme is where does your metal come from? And I think many people have no idea where metals come from. A lot of people don't even know that there's metals beyond copper, aluminum, and iron. And I've put this all together so that people can see what they are, what they're used for, and also where they come from currently and where they have historically come from. And it's interesting to see, the pattern for niobium. Before Araxá was discovered, it was came from these small coltan type sources in the Congo and Nigeria, and they are still a source of niobium, though it's shifted more to elements like tantalum, which come from these river systems that are worked by overseen by warlords. Bedrock mines are a reliable supply, especially when operated in jurisdictions where there are all the safeguards and environmental controls in place. So I'm quite optimistic now that this James Bay project is going to make it as a future niobium mine. It's very unlikely CBMM will reduce the price. It owns so much of the market already that lowering the price to kill the competition would really only take away from the profitability of its operations. So it's content to let these other small groups like Niobay and Magris with its Niobec mine to operate and develop. It makes all their customers in Europe and in Asia happy that if there is a temporary shutdown, there's still going to be somebody else supplying niobium. So Niobium metals, it's one of my favorites. I'm quite pleased the market looked at this and shrugged and said, who cares? Because I think this is something that my readers are going to care about quite a bit in the next while.
John, thank you so much for the update.
You're welcome, Jim.
We've been talking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.